Hello and welcome to yet another part of my LEGO Powered Up tutorial that you can use for Powered Up, Control Plus and LEGO Boost. Today we'll take a look at a remote controlled vehicle. I built one. It's a very simple vehicle. I have two motors, one on port A and one on port B, and both of these control the tracks. I want to control it with a remote, and now I can write my code, or I can introduce a new thing, specialized or self-made or my own blocks. You can find them here, and this option allows you to create your own programming block. Normally, you have these blocks. One can access a light and one can access the sound, or one can make a sound. One can turn a motor. But you can also create your own block that consists of several other blocks. Let's say use two of these blocks. You can put them into your own block, and then you can use your own block, the self-made block, instead of both of these blocks. And if the self-made blocks get executed, then both of these blocks will get executed. This is especially helpful if you write a program and you do stuff that's very similar or that's the same several times. Let's say that you write a program with a line follower. First it should follow a line, then it should do something completely else, and in the end it should follow a line again. And then you can build a line follower twice, or you can simply make your own block that follows a line, put it into the beginning or to the beginning, put it to the end, and then use your own block in both of these cases. And an additional feature is that your own blocks can have input types or input values like these blocks. You can also make round, numerical, or edged logical input values. So let's create our own block. We can click on this plus, and now we've already got a new block, and we can press here to enter it. This is the code that's hidden behind our new own block. And currently there is no code, but I can add a starting point. And then the code that follows the starting point will get executed as soon as this block will get activated. Here on the top, we can change the type of the block. I will cover that in a future part, and we can change the color. And now you can add your own program. I want to remote control a car, so I will need an input for a remote control or from a remote control that will be connected to the second hub identification number. And of course, we want to access the value of the remote control. And that should be the input for a variable. Just a quick reminder, a variable can store a value. These normal variables will keep their value inside of this program, and the global ones can be defined outside of the program or of the subroutine or of the subprogram of the own block, and the values can be used in their own block as well. So the global variables will have the value in the complete program, including the my own block programs, and these normal variables won't have their value everywhere. But I can use a normal variable, and then we can create a switch. This time I want to check if the stop button is being pressed, and then I want the motor to stop, and otherwise I want to control the motor with the speed of the variable, because the speed of the variable is the input value of the controller. But keep in mind, the value of this remote block is either 0 if no button is pressed, -1 if the minus button is being pressed, and +1 if the plus button is being pressed. So I will have to multiply that with 100. We already did that several times. And then we have to check if the stop button is being pressed. Currently we don't check anything, so we can check if the input value of the variable is 127. That's the value of this block, this output, if the stop button is being pressed. And this is fine for the left motor on port A. So I can go back and make a second block for the right input, and then I can use my own blocks. But that's not really good. These my own blocks can use numerical values as input. So I can add this number to any point of the program. And then when I go back, this block has an input. I can input a value, and the input of this block is being transferred into the own block. And now we can use the value in our own program. We can also use ports or the sub-identifications or all kinds of stuff with this value. And I can simply use the port, and then I can access either the left side of the remote for the left side or the first motor on port A, because the remote control has port A and the motor has port A. Or if I enter B as the input for my own block, then I would access the right side of the remote and I would control the B motor on the hub. So now I can use this my own block that controls just one motor to control both motors. And to show that, I can simply add another my own block and use that to control the other port. Of course, we will have to add a loop because we want to repeat this stuff. Keep in mind that if you have an infinite loop in your own block, then you won't get back to the main program. So there are a few things that you have to keep in mind and that you have to be aware of when you try that. But this makes the program pretty readable. And basically one person can write one block or one my own block, another person can write another own block, or one team member can write the first block, another team member can write the second block, and then you can add the program together without having to think about what the other people have done. Also, you can use that to hide code that you do several times in your program with just one block. And this helps you, or this can help to make the code more readable. But don't put every block into your own block. Just play a bit around with it, and then you will realize when it makes sense to use your own block. But let's check out this program. And that worked how we wanted. So now you know how to divide your program in subroutines so that you can make readable programs that are longer without losing the overview too fast. They're a bit like chapters in books. You can divide your program in parts, and then you can read the part that you need. Now you can change this part of the program without having to worry about the program as a whole. This was it for this part. Thanks for watching. Please ask me any questions that you've got in the comments. I am pretty sure that not everyone that watched this video so far did understand everything. So if you've got any more questions, please ask me. Thanks for watching. See you in the next part. And if you've got any project ideas, you can also give them in the comments. I will see if they make sense for this tutorial, and then I might make a tutorial part on your problem. And I think that in the next part we will discover yet another option with the LEGO Boost color and distance sensor. So thanks for watching and bye.